Right now, two separate tropical areas are spinning up simultaneously while 47 million Americans sit under storm watches. A freak June cold front just drove Orlando down to 74 degrees, a reading that should not exist this time of year. And the desert Southwest is baking at 108 degrees today, which is the widest single-day temperature spread in recent memory. I have been on these models all morning, and what I am seeing is one of the stranger June setups in years. Stay locked in because at the 8-minute mark, I will show you what the European ensemble is doing in the Gulf. At the very end, I have a mid-June outlook that is going to catch a lot of you off guard. This is not one of those videos where I am just describing rain chances. This pattern has some genuinely unusual signals. Here's what makes today stand out from a routine severe weather day across the Northern Plains region. Shortwave energy is riding the U.S.-Canada border, and those impulses are strong enough to ignite rotating supercells today. The low-level jet ramps up tonight, clusters those storms, and dramatically increases their coverage after dark. The SPC has a 15% chance of significant hail exceeding 2 inches in diameter over the eastern Dakotas today. A separate 15% wind threat and a 2% tornado risk are both in play from Watertown south to Sioux Falls. And on top of all that, flash flooding carries a 15% probability across the Texas Panhandle down through Amarillo and Roswell. Earl runs a grain operation outside Bismarck and told me the sky had that ominous greenish tint by noon today. Earl, that color is your cue to get indoors and stay there because these storms will be moving fast after dark tonight. Drop your city in the comments right now and tell me what conditions look like outside your window this afternoon. I read every single one and will be back tonight with a breakdown tailored specifically to your area. Let me walk through the city-by-city timeline for today's severe weather so you know exactly when to expect what. Watertown and Aberdeen, South Dakota, intense cells arrive between 6 and 8 this evening, and they will be moving fast. Gettysburg and Pierre, you are in the direct path of the supercell corridor developing this afternoon in central South Dakota. Fargo and the Red River Valley, the line reaches you in the overnight hours and still carries damaging wind potential. Minneapolis and southern Minnesota, the tail end of this complex pushes through between midnight and 3 in the morning. Omaha and Lincoln, Nebraska, a secondary round fires this evening as energy ejects east along the warm boundary overnight. Dodge City and Wichita, Kansas, watch for strong storms moving through your area in the late evening and overnight hours. Des Moines and Cedar Rapids, Thursday's setup reloads across Iowa with another slight risk for damaging wind and large hail. Chicago and the western suburbs. By Friday, the threat corridor clips your southern metro as the energy tracks northeast. And for the Twin Cities metro, a second round arrives Thursday afternoon, making this a back-to-back severe weather setup. Here's the bigger picture, and it is something y'all need to understand about this pattern right now. We are not dealing with one isolated event, but a daily conveyor belt of severe weather rolling through the central U.S. Thursday sees the threat reload across Nebraska, Iowa, and Kansas with that same 15% significant hail risk. Friday, it shifts further east toward Iowa, Missouri, and sections of Illinois as the shortwave energy keeps ejecting. Saturday, the pattern resets with a new slight risk over Montana and northwestern North Dakota as the cycle begins again. Now here's the part most forecasters are not talking about, and it is one for the weather history books. A cold front in early June is doing something so unusual that even veteran forecasters are doing a double take right now. This front is pushing all the way to South Florida, something that almost never happens during the first week of June. Orlando sitting at 74 degrees with comfortable humidity on a Wednesday afternoon is flat out wrong for this time of year. Panama City at 73 degrees, Charleston at 73, Myrtle Beach at 74, all running 7 to 10 degrees below June averages. Tampa drops to 69 degrees Wednesday night, Tallahassee falls to 60, and the Panhandle wakes up in the upper 50s Thursday. Good Lord, if you are at the beach in the Carolinas this week, pack a jacket for the morning. Savannah, Jacksonville, and Daytona Beach, you're all sitting about 8 degrees below where you normally are in early June. This cool down makes for some of the most comfortable beach days you will see all summer long. The not-so-good news is that humidity comes roaring back with a vengeance starting Saturday as the Gulf moisture reloads. Atlanta and Charlotte, you are sitting in that transitional zone right now. Enjoy the 70s because the 90s are coming fast. Margaret is a retired teacher in Charleston who grabbed a sweater off the porch this morning and called it a gift. Margaret, treasure these next 2 days because by Sunday the dew point climbs back into the 70s and summer means business. But here's the kicker about this coastal setup that nobody is talking about nearly enough right now. That same cold front is generating dangerous rip currents along the entire Carolina coast that are no joke today. Waves off the Outer Banks are running 10 to 15 feet with some spots touching 14 feet through tomorrow morning. The wind along the Outer Banks has a 100% probability of 40-mile-per-hour gusts through all of Thursday. Rip currents at this level have taken even strong swimmers by surprise, and this is not a week to test the water. If you get caught in a rip current, swim parallel to shore and never fight it head on. Now let me talk to everyone in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic because your pattern is about to flip hard this weekend. Right now you are sitting in genuinely pleasant weather with temperatures in the low 70s and comfortable humidity, but a large heat dome building over the southwest is already starting to push your direction as we head into Friday. Boston, New York, Philadelphia, and Baltimore are all tracking from the low 70s up into the mid to upper 80s. Washington, D.C. and Richmond are tracking into the low 90s by Sunday afternoon with dew points climbing into the 60s. That combination of heat and humidity means the heat index in D.C. and Philadelphia could touch 95 degrees by Sunday. The transition from comfortable to muggy is going to happen fast, so these next 2 days are absolutely worth savoring. Meanwhile, the Southwest has been living under a completely different and brutal weather story for the past several days. Phoenix hit 109 degrees Tuesday and is tracking toward 110 by Thursday, which puts it in excessive heat warning territory. Las Vegas is forecast at 108 degrees Thursday, running about 8 full degrees above the June average for that area. Tucson, Palm Springs, and Yuma are all sitting in that same superheated air mass with overnight lows near 85 degrees. When overnight lows hold above 85 degrees, the human body never fully recovers and heat illness risk escalates rapidly. If you are in the desert Southwest right now, you need to hydrate aggressively, limit outdoor activity, and check on neighbors. Dale is a retired electrician in Oklahoma City who asked when that heat dome finally breaks for his region. Dale, the ridge shifts slightly by week 3 of June, but honest-to-goodness relief does not fully arrive until late June. Now here's the moment I told you about at the top, and I need you locked in right here. 2 separate tropical areas are developing simultaneously, and the European ensemble is showing something worth serious attention. Area 1 sits off the Carolina coast, where a low pressure is already generating 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts along the shore. Area 2 is in the Gulf of Mexico, where Caribbean moisture is organizing under a 1,028 millibar high that is slowly shifting west. The GFS shows a broad spin of Gulf moisture pushing tropical downpours into Louisiana and coastal Texas by Thursday evening. The European ensemble, averaging 51 separate model runs, shows a 40% chance of 40-mile-per-hour gusts in that same area. Do I think this becomes a named tropical storm? Probably not, but early season cheap shot storms do happen, no two ways about it. June 3rd is the first official day of hurricane season 2026, and even a brief spin early in the season deserves respect. The bigger immediate concern is the tropical moisture itself pushing heavy rain into Alabama, Mississippi, and southern Georgia. Beginning Sunday into Monday, slugs of humid Caribbean air surge northward through the Gulf into the southeastern United States. Humidity levels jump hard across Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia early next week as that tropical tap reopens. The longer-range European ensemble shows 2 more low-pressure areas trying to form in the Gulf between June 10th and 15th. One ensemble member shows a 979 millibar low developing near the Big Bend region of Florida that is near tropical storm intensity. Gulf sea surface temperatures are running very warm, so any system that forms there has more than enough fuel to intensify. Gulf Coast folks from Texas to Florida, drop your city below and tell me what the sky and water look like tonight. Your ground truth reports help me give everyone watching a far more accurate picture of what is actually developing out there. Sandra is a retired nurse in New Orleans, and her rain gauge hit 3 full inches just last week. Sandra, y'all are staying locked in this active moisture pattern through mid-June, so keep that rain gear close by. Now let me give you some historical context because this pattern has analogs that every weather watcher should know about. The last time June opened with this combination of plains severe weather and Gulf tropical moisture was the summer of 1998. That summer saw 7 named Atlantic storms and a derecho outbreak across the Midwest that caused over $1 billion in damage. The 2012 June derecho is another analog. It produced widespread 80-mile-per-hour straight-line winds from Indiana to the coast. What these analog years have in common is a persistent ridge over the southern plains feeding daily instability north and east. We are not predicting those exact outcomes, but the atmospheric setup today has more in common with those years than most. Understanding where this pattern has gone historically is the single best tool we have for knowing what to watch for next. Here is the end of video promise I made you, and I am going to lay it out in plain language right now. Around June 10th through the 15th, a full-fledged trough digs into the western United States and changes everything. That is not a weak shortwave, but a legitimate system capable of bumping the severe weather risk up a full level. The European ensemble hints the trough digs deep enough by mid-June to yank Gulf moisture northward in a rapid and dramatic way. If that verifies, the southeast and Florida could get hit with a fast-moving heavy rain event that catches people off guard. The GFS, meanwhile, shows a cutoff low developing over the eastern U.S. that keeps unsettled energy dancing around for days. Both models agree that by June 15th through the 17th, rain chances increase meaningfully across the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. The honest answer is that this mid-June pattern is one of the trickier forecasts I have looked at in quite a while. Day by day as we get closer, confidence improves, and I will be here every step of the way. Before I close, I need to talk drought because June is mission critical for soil moisture heading into July heat risk. The Mississippi Valley corridor from St. Louis north through Dubuque and up toward Minneapolis is running critically dry. That corridor covers some of the most productive corn and soybean ground in the entire United States right now. If that region misses meaningful rainfall over the next 3 to 4 weeks, July heat risk escalates significantly. The European delivers heavy rainfall into that corridor over the next 10 days, which is the scenario everyone wants to see. The GFS keeps that same area drier, raising red flags for late July heat stress and potential crop yield losses. Which model wins that battle is going to be one of the most consequential weather questions of this entire growing season. Bob farms corn outside Des Moines and asked whether the second half of June brings any relief from this storm pattern. Bob, the active corridor stays over your region through mid-June, which is actually what the soil needs heading into July. If you know a farmer in that Mississippi Valley corridor, do yourself a solid and send this their way. The next 3 weeks of rain set the table for whether July becomes a crisis or a comfortable month. Here is the bottom line, and I am going to keep this straight and simple for everybody watching right now. Northern Plains from the Dakotas through Nebraska. Severe weather is active tonight, so know your shelter before dark. Charge your phone and your backup battery right now because power outages follow supercells almost every single time. Gulf Coast from Texas through Louisiana to Florida. Tropical moisture is building and heavy rain arrives by Thursday evening. Turn around and do not drown out there because 6 inches of moving water can sweep a vehicle right off the road. Carolina coast, stay out of the water through Thursday because those 14-foot waves and 40-mile-per-hour gusts are a real danger. Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, enjoy these comfortable days because heat and 90-degree humidity return hard by this weekend. Southwest, you are in dangerous excessive heat territory, so hydrate, limit midday sun, and check on elderly neighbors. Florida, you are living through one of the rarest June cold snaps on record, so enjoy every minute of it. I opened this video with 3 numbers, 2 tropical areas spinning up, 108 degrees in the southwest and 74 in Orlando. Those 3 numbers are all symptoms of the same complex pattern that is making this June so strange. The 47 million people under watches today, the rare cold front, and the Gulf moisture signal are all connected at the root. The people who come through active weather stretches just fine are always the ones who had a plan before it started. Drop your city below. Tell me what is happening outside your window right now, and I will get back to you tonight. Stay safe, stay smart, take care of the people around you, God bless, and we will see you in the next update.